Hey, how's it going, everyone? We're going to do an unboxing of the S.H.Figuarts Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Miles Morales. It's been a while since this guy has been out. I've just been delaying a lot of action figure unboxings. The movie's come and gone. It was a pretty good movie, pretty solid movie overall. A little bit long, tad long in my opinion. And then for that, they also did, the S.H.Figuarts figures of Miles Morales, Gwen, as well as upcoming is going to be Miguel, so Spider-Man 2099. And I think Sentinel are doing some stuff for this as well, or is Sentinel still doing the first movie? But in any case, we've got figures of these guys. Now, just to kind of mention as well that there was an exclusive version of this figure, so the packaging might differ compared to that. So from off the top of my head, the exclusive version that was available at some Tamashii Nations events in Tokyo, US, and Paris, I believe it was, or is going to happen. The packaging is kind of all black with a really cool graphic of Spider-Man Miles Morales on there, as well as I think you get a base stand. Otherwise, the figure is pretty much the same. You don't get much more than the package and the base stand. I would like that base stand, but yeah, I just couldn't get hands-on with that one. So here we have the regular edition that you can have just bought from stores. It might still be available in some places. Just double check your favorite retailers, because it's been a while, like I said, since this has been out. So as far as regular packaging goes, this is the front. It's kind of using that whole Across the Spider-Verse theme of dimensional rifts and things like that, with the pattern work down here, which is really cool, really kind of colorful, really bright, and just stands out quite a bit. You got the logo, plus you got Miles there as well, and a nice window to kind of see the figure itself, plus the two alternate heads that this Miles comes with. You've got the spine here like so, the reverse side like so, in a couple of different poses right there as well. Oh, you do get a base stand. Do you get a base stand with this one? Do you? Oh, you do get a base stand with this one. So his base stand is not even exclusive to the other one. It's basically is the package that's exclusive and different. That's okay then. That's good to know. And then usual information down at the bottom. This is the other side. This is the top, and then this is the bottom. Let's get it open. So here's the figure out of the box. You've got a few option parts with it, including heads, hands, and a stand. It does come with this stand. I thought the exclusive version only came with a stand, so that's good to see. It's a nice stand. It's a very simple stand, but it's a nice stand. It's got the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse logo on it. There was no protective film on the base, so mine already came out of the box with some hairline scratches on it, and now it's got my fingerprints on it because I've just been manhandling it. But it is otherwise a nice hand. Just make sure you get like a glasses cloth nearby to just kind of, keep the fingerprints off of it. You do get this arm on here as well. I'm just going to take that off. So the arm just goes into one of three holes, 1, 2, 3, which you just kind of like push out from the front side, and then just don't lose that little bit that you've taken out because there's nowhere else to put it. And then you've just got to plug that in there, and then you've got a claw on the end of the arm as well. It's a pretty basic claw, but it will get the job done for the most part. I quite like it. Like I said, quite basic, but sometimes simple and clean is pretty good. I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way as well. We'll jump onto the hands. So he comes with, actually let me start with, he doesn't come with any fists. That threw me off. As I was kind of posing the guy, I was like, wait, I need some fists. So this guy can't throw a punch. I mean, you could probably use these thripping hands, or grabbing, not thripping hands, the ones to hold the webbing. You could probably get away with using this, depending on the angle. But yeah, he comes with no fists, which is a little bit of a bummer. But anyway, let's carry on. So he comes with web holding hands like so. All of his hands on the underside, the palm side, is going to be red, similar to his actual outfit in the film as well. And you've got extra detailing on all of the hands too. So let's go with the black part first. So you've got a textured part on the black area, which is nice. We'll have a close look at that on the figure too. And then you've got the kind of detail bit on the kind of top side, just near towards the wrist bit as well. So that's going to be the same for both the web holding hands as well. And then we come on to his thripping hands. So this is pretty basic thripping hands. He doesn't come with any other pair. This is the only thripping hands that he gets. Same thing, red on the underside, and then textured with the outfit details on the reverse. And then he comes with action hands. So these are full fingers spread apart like so. Same color scheme and detail and textures as the other hands. And then he comes with similar hands like the ones we just covered, but these ones are slightly more relaxed and posed, I guess, in the kind of arch or cone shape, I guess, which I really like. I really like these hands as well. So you can use these for multi-purpose. I quite like those hands personally. Then he comes with big spider eyes. You can see on the figure itself, it's got the regular sized eyes, and then we can swap these over later on as well for the big sized eyes, maybe when his spider sense goes off, things like that. So it's very cool. Actually, let me give you kind of a closer look at the pearl white look on them. I really like the white finish on them, and you've also got the blue inside the line work inside on top of the red, which is really nice as well. I didn't realize it was blue, but it's really nice to see that. Then we come on to, actually before we finish that, go into the heads, you got this little piece here to pry out the eyes on the head. So you got this little bit here. I'll show you that later on. I just use my fingernails. You can also use this for the back peg. So this little tiny piece here is usually already inserted into the figure at the back, which I'll show you later on. This one is just covering a peg hole that you can use for the stand as well, which I didn't actually mention. You can remove the claw, for example, here, and then this can peg into the back of the figure. So don't lose this tiny little piece. I'm going to leave it to the side and hopefully it doesn't roll away or anything. But yeah, you've got this little tool here to help you out if you've got no fingernails. And then we go on to his two alternate heads, or unmasked heads. Now, both are quite good, I would say, but they're not that different in my opinion. It's kind of like, I would have been fine if we just had this one and then we had another angry face actually. So if they were going to limit us to two, then I would have taken this one and then like an angry face where he's kind of... there's a few times in the movies where he does get a little bit aggravated or upset. So that would have been really nice to have. But anyway, we've got the regular face here, which looks very good. You can see the details here. There is no shading or anything like that. So just play around with your own lighting setup when you got it on display. And it will look quite good. But the sculpt itself is pretty decent. His eyebrows are uneven on this side, which is fine. I like it. His eyes are pretty good. I like the color in his eyes as well. Everything looks good. His whole facial features and the sculpt look really good. You got the fade going around towards the back as well with some lighter fading on the back side here. And then of course the head sculpt is pretty good as well. I think it's pretty good. I quite like it. And then the other one is very similar, but you've got the kind of slightly anxious look to him, which is really good. I really like this head sculpt. That's why out of the two unmasked, this one is probably my favorite. But I definitely would have preferred if he had one where he's just a little bit more kind of aggravated. That would have been really cool. You also get a neck piece for the unmasked head as well. So this is the back side of that next piece, and then this is the front side with the Adam's apple, and it does also come with the neck bit of the costume as well, which is also textured. We'll show you that later on in the video too. He then finally comes with web pieces. So you've got the small web shot, which we'll show you how to apply later. It's pretty standard. If you've got a Spider-Man S.H.Figuarts figure or a Muffix, it's going to be pretty similar to those, if not the same. Then we've got a longer piece for the web shot, and he does also come with one to hold onto, but it did actually break on me, so I actually had to glue it, and it's still drying in the process. So he comes a long web line that he can hold onto, but you can kind of see this little midsection bit. This is where it broke. I don't know why. I was trying to kind of curve it, but it just kind of bent and snapped, and yeah, there we go. The web line broke on me, so it is. I'm just gonna let it dry for a bit. That's probably the first time a web line has actually broken on me. I've always said in some of my other Spider-Man videos that be careful with them, because sometimes they do have a tendency to kind of almost break but not quite. So it's just like a little extra tug and it will probably snap off. So just be careful with them. So let me kind of pull this web holding hand here. What you probably just, I mean, I in the end just got a piece of tissue and rolled it up as a substitute for the time being. Just kind of feed it in like so, and there we go. He's holding on to his web line. If you need an extra web line, just use a piece of tissue paper. It's really simple to set up. Let's jump into the figure then. So he's really lanky looking, and I love it for that. Like it's a little bit hard to handle in my opinion. It was because of his proportions are so strange, but it's great at the same time. Getting him to stand is going to be a little bit tricky, at least on this surface for me. He's a bit tricky to stand because he's got really tiny calves and ankles, and then really not that big feet either to kind of balance the rest of the top heavy portion of him. And when I say top heavy, he's not super top heavy, but overall proportion wise, he's just a little bit harder to kind of get standing up. But it's Spider-Man, you probably don't want him just standing around. You want him in some action poses, which we'll get onto in just a second after we go through the kind of aesthetics of the figure. Aesthetically speaking, he's very nice. Now, I haven't done a one-to-one comparison with the final version of the film, and I don't really remember the film look 100%. It's pretty much the same thing, I believe, though. Now, typically, when it comes to the more simple outfits from the comics, i.e., let's say Black Suit Spider-Man or Miles' original black outfit from the comics, I really like the kind of simple look and no panels, what's the word? Basically, no paneling. You can see all the paneling here. I really dislike this modern take of adding panels to everyone's suit, whether it's Marvel, whether it's DC. Superman, for example, I really hate what they do to his costumes in the modern day. And similar to Spider-Man, same in the video game, I don't know why this guy needs to have added panels onto his outfit. It's just, I don't like it personally. That said though, they've done it on this figure and it's come out very, very well. It looks good and all of it's very cleanly done. So despite me not liking the panel look of it, it still looks like a good figure and it's applied and done and come out really, really well. So that's all great there. The spider on the chest looks really great as well. It's still got that kind of, it's not exactly fully dripping paint anymore. It's pretty clean stuff, but it's still got that kind of artsy look to it, which is great as well. His eyes we covered before, which are nice pearly white, which is great. So this is the regular sized eyes. We'll show you how to swap those later on. Everything on the black side of things is textured in this kind of not leather kind of material, but it's really nicely textured. Everything is textured everywhere until you get to the this stomach panel bit, and then the arms. Those are going to be a little bit more glossy textured, and then same with the red, they're just kind of plain as well. But the textured bit is really good. So a lot of the kind of elements going on with the suit, it's fine, and I think as a figure it looks really good. Like I said, very, very well produced figure. So no real issues there. I will just say though, you are going to get some friction issues once you start to pose this guy. Pretty standard for most figures, but because he's got gloss at the kind of torso bit where most of the friction ends up happening, and then same over here with the red stripe bit, you're going to see either some paint rub or something like that. So don't be too surprised or too upset when that happens. Just go kind of steady with the figure itself. Overall though, he looks very, very good as a figure. Oh, we didn't go with the spider on the back, which is kind of just a bigger version, upside down version of the one on the front. Again, clean lines as well. Here's the peg hole that I've already removed. Just plug that back up. You are going to have to do it manually. I did it early on for the sake of time. And then the shoes as well, underside, are like Louboutin red soles, which is great. But apparently I thought Louboutin, you can't use red soles because Louboutin have them. Guess I'm wrong. But yeah, very good looking figure otherwise. When it comes to articulation, this guy is very, very, very agile, very mobile as well. So we'll start with the head, which is great. He can kind of, it's kind of come off at the neck. It might happen, it might not to yours. Looking down and looking up. I would prefer he could look up a little bit more. It's still very, very good, but just a little bit more to the side, which is great as well. And of course, he can rotate all around. His arms, the shoulders are so good. So he can go all the way up, you know, and around. Let's get the T-pose out. But this is what I really liked about his shoulders and his arms in general. This guy, so let me just show you. I'm going to just bring his arm around there, and then his other arm just pose. It's just you got a bicep cut, which I'm kind of showing you there as well. He can basically shake his own hands, which is just so good. I'm just going to do it roughly here, but yeah, he can touch his own hands at the back. I mean, he can definitely do it. I've got a picture of it. Let me just show you. I need to prove myself now. There we go. He can touch his hands, which is just super, super good. And that's just crazy. Really, really love it. Oh, also one thing I wanted to mention about those paneling bits on his outfit. So on mine, it kind of gives off like a green tinge or reflection, which I actually really like. It gives it that very bug-like look to it, which just to me, I don't know if that's intentional, but I really love it for that. So yeah, really, really good job if it was intentional. And if it was just fluke, then, well, it's a lucky fluke. So his arm articulation is very good. Let's just quickly show you the elbow there. Like I said, he's got the bicep cut there. And then the hands are pretty standard stuff, like so. The torso is pretty good as well, so you can move forward, back, like so. You're going to see a little bit extra of the paneling there. Tilting. And then he's got a twist at the lower portion. Mine's a bit, it doesn't really hold much unless you really push it. I have a bit of trouble with it, but it does twist a little bit on the stomach, lower stomach area. So for the hips, mine are a little bit stiff, especially kind of for the left groin hip area here. I'm going to kind of show you on the right. So here you can see there's that twist at the leg there, at the upper part. But on this one, it's really stiff and it just doesn't move. So I'm going to have to kind of sort that out. But he does have that twist, as I mentioned, but he also has the kind of articulate point there to actually lift at the actual groin area or the crotch area as well. So he can kick up like so, and then forward splits, and then side splits like so. It's because his proportions and his waists are also tiny, it's a little bit fiddly to do, but there we go. There's side splits, or front splits, and was it front side splits, and then his knee bend like so. His knee kind of like, yeah, it drops out like so. I would have preferred a tighter knee bend. It's not terrible by any means. It's still quite good, and it looks nice as well. A nice kind of bend to it. It's not super off-putting like some of S.H.Figuarts or other figures out there, but just a little bit tighter would have been really, really good. And then his ankle is pretty standard as well, just like you would have for most figures, and wrists as well. And then we've got the toe hinge like so, which is pretty standard too. So overall, his articulation is really solid. You might have some tight joints here or there, might have some super loose ones. It really depends. For the most part, nothing's really come super loose for me or disconnected. This bit has popped off once or twice, and his neck does once or twice as well. But I think the neck is probably going to happen because you can swap off the masked head with the unmasked head as well, which we'll go into in just a second. But posing wise though, yeah, you can get him into some pretty good poses. Like I said though, because his knee bend isn't as tight as I would have liked, it means that his squatting isn't going to be super great. I think some other action figures for Spider-Man lines like Rebeltech do it better, but you can get him kind of crouching down pretty easily. So just play around with it and it should be fine. Again, use a lot of reference materials from the comics themselves and the movies, and you'll get pretty decent poses out of this guy. Let's swap some parts though. So starting with the head. So the eyes, actually, you can just pry those off. I'm going to use my fingernail, pry those off like so, and then we can swap it in with another one. So this one I think might have been the wrong, that's the other side. Let's get the right eye. Just plug it in. It's really that simple. Just gotta plug it in like so, so you can see the difference in size. So the left eye, or Spidey's right eye, is the one that comes out of the box, and then the left one is the much larger one that you might use for spider sense or further action poses. So I'm going to leave both in like so, pretty standard stuff. To remove the head, sometimes the neck piece might get stuck. If it does, just remove the neck. It should be pretty standard. Then get the one that has the unmasked neck with the skin tone showing, and then make sure you place that the right way around with the Adam's apple pointing forward, and it should click in place. You can kind of maneuver the joint here if you want to have his neck kind of arching forward. Just maneuver that how you want to. I'm going to use this face and then just line it up, plug it in. It should click. There we go. Clicks into place. And then we've got Miles with his hey. His hey look. Slightly more mature version of that hey look, but still reminds me of that. So he looks really great with the unmasked head. I think he looks great. His pose is a bit off now, but it looks very, very good. Changing the hands. Oh, by the way, just change the other face if you want to. For the hands, just pull like so. His hands, his wrist joints are so tiny. Again, I love the proportions of it, but when it comes to changing it, his wrists are so tiny and fiddly that it takes me a little bit of time to get the hands on. So I'm gonna use, let's just use the web holding hand with the ghetto, tissue paper. So I'm just gonna put that on. Like I said, it kind of bends back all the time, so it takes me a little bit of time to get that hand on. There we go. We've got the hand on, and then just repeat the same thing. Take the hand off and change it with another one if you want to, and then get ready to pose the guy. And he is fun to play around with. There we go. That's where it pops off. So I probably went a bit too far. It's not too bad actually. It's probably just because I went a little bit too far there. But yeah, get ready to pose. I probably should use the tissue there. It looks a bit weird now. But yeah, there we go. This is Miles with his unmasked head and then an alternate hand as well. It's pretty easy and straightforward to do the rest. It's just a bit on the fiddly side because of his proportions. So this is Miles Morales from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So he stands around 15 centimeters with the masked head and about 15.5 with the unmasked head as well because of his hair. Size-wise, it's fine to me. I haven't unboxed Gwen yet, so I will do that and probably put them side by side at some point. But Miles was the priority here. Overall, this Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Miles Morales figure is pretty solid. I had a couple of issues with mine with the tight joints here and there, and then the web line actually snapping on me. But if that's not going to be an issue for you guys, and hopefully it won't be, then it all should be fine. It's a pretty solid figure. It's fun to play around with. It's enjoyable to pose and get into really good action poses because he has quite a lot of articulation with him. I really enjoy the proportions of the guy as well. It's really, really kind of fun to look at. It's just a really artfully looking figure. So if you are a big fan of Miles Morales and especially the Across the Spider-Verse films, then yeah, you probably can't go wrong by picking up this figure.